In today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the characters in Greenworld from worst to best, so you know who to add to your squad for some easy first place finishes. Alright, our first character we're going to be talking about is going to be Greg. Now, Greg is a common supplier unit from the game Heyday. Just some of his stats, he has 1300 health and he also deals 100 damage per second. Now, for Greg's baby form, he actually chops trees for loot. For his classic form, he'll end up chopping trees twice as fast. And then for his super form, the trees will actually end up dropping more loot. Now, the reason why Greg is going to be considered the worst character is that at Greenworld is because there are just better and more efficient ways to get loot. Instead of chopping down trees, you can like destroy the bots, skeletons, other mobs, or other squads in the early game. You can even use the spells to destroy trees, which is way faster than using Greg. When playing squad busters, you want to be as quick as possible in the early game to try and buff up your squad as fast as you can. You want to try to build up a strong squad from the start because it's going to be so much harder to play catch up when everybody else has stronger squads than you. So my recommendation is whenever you see Greg inside of a chest, do not pick him. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Hog Rider. Now the Hog Rider is going to be a rare speedster unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. Just some of his stats, he actually has 1500 health and also deals 150 damage per second. Now for the Hog Rider's baby form, grass actually gives him a burst of turbo. For his classic form, the turbo will actually end up lasting a little bit longer. And then for the super form, the turbo will end up recharging faster. Now as you can tell by all of the forms that I listed, the only thing the Hog Rider is going to be useful for is all of the turbos. Now yes, I know the turbos are great and all for moving faster throughout the match, you can get closer to the chest or collect gems faster, but realistically the Hog Rider is only going to be useful for getting turbos when inside of grass. Now think about it, how often are you really going to be running throughout grass throughout the entire match? Probably not a lot, right? The Chicken is a common speedster unit from the game Heyday. Just some of the stats, he has 1000 health and deals 120 damage per second. Now for the baby form of the Chicken, you actually get 1 turbo boost. For the classic form, he'll be able to spawn 3 hatchlings over time. And then the super form actually increases the amount of turbo boost that you get to now 2. Now as I just stated with the Hog Rider, the Chicken is going to be a better version of him as far as getting turbo boost, and here's why. Instead of having to run through grass with the Hog Rider in order to get a turbo boost, now yes, even though the stats are not better than the Hog Riders because it lacks in health and it also lacks in DPS, it's still going to be helpful to have a couple of chickens or even a fused chicken in the later game so that you can consistently get those turbo boosts. Because like I stated with the Hog Rider, it's important to be moving quickly throughout the match so you can get the gems or just move quicker and beat other people to the chest. Now if you want to get technical, you could rank the chicken higher in the list if you have the Dragon Chicken Mega unit, but that's only if you have it now. Anyways, our next character that we're going to be talking about is going to be Dynamite. Dynamite is going to be a rare attacker unit actually from the game Brawl Stars. Now Dynamite actually has some pretty underwhelming stats. He only has 800 health and deals 60 damage per second. For his baby form, he tosses some big explosives. For his classic form, he actually throws a second stick of dynamite. And then for the super form, the dynamites will actually have a larger blast radius. Now as I stated, he doesn't have the greatest stats. He lacks in health, he lacks in damage, so there's just going to be better ranged units to get whenever you see him inside of a chest. The only thing I can see him being a little bit useful for is at least having his classic form where you can throw that second stick of dynamite. Then at least you'll be able to double your DPS, and hey, that can help you deal more damage obviously. Or the other thing that's going to be helpful is having that super form, because having that larger blast radius will help you to hit a bigger portion of the enemy squads. Now if you are going to be using Dynamite, I really recommend having some kind of tank or a higher HP troop to be standing in front of him, because since Dynamite does not have a lot of health, like I said multiple times already, yeah, he's going to end up dying like within a heartbeat. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Goblin. Now the Goblin is a common supplier unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. The Goblin actually has 1200 health and also deals 170 damage per second. For the Goblin's baby form, you'll actually be able to get 3 coins. For his classic form, you'll actually be getting double the coins. You'll end up getting 6 now whenever you get a Goblin from a chest. And then for his super form, whenever you have a fusion of a Goblin, you'll end up getting 15 coins. Now, I just love the Goblin in the early game. He's a fantastic unit to have because you can get those coins and help you open up chests right off the bat. And as I stated earlier in the video, you need to be getting a strong unit within the early game so that you are a huge threat that nobody wants to mess with. Just getting the additional coins from the Goblins will help you get a stronger squad, and that way you'll be able to steamroll your way through the match because nobody is going to want to challenge you. So in my opinion, the Goblin is super critical in order to progress and get a stronger squad a lot faster in the early game. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Barbarian. Now the Barbarian is a common all-rounder unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. The Barbarian actually has 1400 health and also deals 140 damage per second. For the Barbarian's baby form, he is a melee fighter with good damage. For his classic form, he will become elite elite after bashing a lot of baddies. And then for his super form, he will immediately go elite when there's another barbarian. Now I love the barbarian as well in the early game because he's going to be great for taking out the weaker mobs like skeletons. What's actually kind of shocking is he deals less damage than the goblin, so in the later game he's going to be much weaker. He's not going to be able to do a lot of consistent damage to larger mobs, for example like the golems or baby dragons and other things like that. However, something that can make the barbarian at least a little bit better is using the barbarian king, but I'll get into that a little bit later on in the video, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be Colt. Now Colt is a common attacker unit from the game Brawl Stars. Colt actually has only 750 health but deals 200 damage per second. For his baby form, Colt is going to be a ranged fighter with high damage. For his classic form, you need to bust 4 foes in order to get Bullet Storm. And then for his super form, Colt will actually be able to deal more damage with Bullet Storm. Now hands down, Colt is going to be one of the best ranged units to use inside of Greenworld. The main reason being is that since he deals a lot of damage in the early game or even the late game, he's going to be very ideal to getting your squad up strong in the early game or to just shred through the mobs and other squads that you're going to be facing in the later game. He was definitely one of my favorite troops to have back in the closed betas because he was such a reliable unit to have to deal consistent damage throughout the matches. Now since Colt only has 750 health, which is probably one of the weaker units as far as health goes, you need to be having some kind of tank or other melee unit to be tanking shots for Colt, because if you don't have any other tanks or higher HP troops to tank for Colt, yeah, he's gonna get shredded, no doubt. Now I will actually go over how to make him even stronger when paired up with the Archer Queen in a little bit. Now the next character we're gonna be talking about is gonna be El Primo. El Primo is a common defender unit from the game Brawl Stars. El Primo has 2800 health and deals 100 damage per second. For his baby form, he is just a defender with a ton of health. For his classic form, you need to defeat 5 foes in order to use his flying elbow drop. And then for his super form, his flying elbow drop will actually be able to deal more damage. Now since El Primo is one of the only tanks inside of Greenworld, it is a must-have inside of your squad. You just need to be using El Primo or just other stronger, higher HP units in general to just tank shots and incoming damage to protect your ranged units. Now I know everybody's like, Bren, El Primo only does 100 damage per second. How can he be this high up in the list? Well, the main reason is, like I said, he is going to be a tank. The main job for El Primo is to tank shots for your ranged units. So just use El Primo to keep those other units behind him alive so that they can deal the damage for him. Also, El Primo is going to be another unit kind of like the Barbarian that's going to be paired up very well with the Barbarian King. Now you can actually rank El Primo a little bit higher if you have his LT grade mega unit, but of course that's only if you have his mega unit. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Medic. Now the Medic is going to be a rare healing unit from the game Boom Beach. The Medic has 900 health and deals 125 damage per second. Now the Medic's baby form, he'll actually be able to heal up the squad slowly over time. Now for his classic form, the Medic will be able to throw heal packs when idle. And then finally for his super form, the passive heals will get stronger and faster. Now the Medic will always have a special place in my heart back in the closed beta because of how strong he was, because he was a healer. I really recommend getting the Medic and using it inside of your squad because being able to heal up your squad would just make it that much harder for the enemies to take you down. Just looking back at all the forms that I was just talking about, the Medic is just such a fantastic unit and he's going to thrive in the late game to keep your squad alive, especially when all the other squads are going to be strong as well. Now think about it this way, if you have the Medic and you're going up against an enemy squad that doesn't have the Medic, your team will have that healing advantage against them. And who knows, that might be the deal breaker to make sure that you take that squad down. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Witch. Now the Witch is going to be an epic attacker unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. Some of the Witch's stats that she has is she has 100 health but deals 230 damage per second. Now for the Witch's baby form, she'll actually be able to spawn skeletons repeatedly, and then for her classic form, she will actually be able to spawn even more skeletons, and then for her super form, she'll actually have a skeleton barrel that she can toss onto her target. Now the Witch hands down is one of the most annoying and most broken characters in the game ever since it went into beta. One of the reasons why the Witch is so good is because she can spawn in all those skeletons and have them tank shots for your squad. Another reason why the Witch is so good is because she's going to be able to out DPS all the other characters in the game that can only attack one unit at a time. And imagine them just being swarmed by a bunch of skeletons. Yeah, there's no way they're going to be able to survive that. So whenever you guys get the Witch inside of a chest and you see it, I definitely recommend getting her because she is just so strong just by herself. You don't even need anything to help her. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Barbarian King. Now the Barbarian King is an epic defender unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. The Barbarian King is 3200 health and deals 145 damage per second. Now what's awesome about the Barbarian King is that his baby form helps your melee units attack faster. And then for his classic form, you'll occasionally be able to pummel enemies with his Iron Fist. And then finally finally, for his super form, he'll actually be able to recover health steadily when he's not attacking. Now, as you can imagine, the Barbarian King is going to be a fantastic tank to add to your squad because of how much health he has. I mean, he has over 3,000 health. But the main reason why you have to be using the Barbarian King is because he helps your melee units attack faster. So think about units like the Barbarians, El Primo, and the Goblins, just to name a few. Imagine them attacking faster. That's just going to make your squad that much stronger overall. So with all of your melee units getting an attack speed buff, it's just going to make your whole squad a lot scarier for the enemies to deal with. Alright guys, the next character we're going to be talking about is going to be the Archer Queen. Now the Archer Queen is an epic attacker unit from the games Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. The Archer Queen has 1200 health and actually deals 160 damage per second. Now for the Archer Queen's baby form, your ranged units are going to be able to attack faster. For her classic form, you will occasionally be able to fire exploding arrows. And then for the Archer Queen's super form, you'll actually be able to recover health steadily when you're not attacking. Now as you can imagine, the Archer Queen is going to be another fantastic epic unit inside the game, mostly because she's going to help your ranged units attack faster. Now if you look back throughout the entire video, most of the ranged units that I talk about are the ones that are going to be dealing most of the damage for your squad. So why wouldn't you want to use the Archer Queen to help increase the speed of the characters that are going to be dealing most of the damage for your squad? So if you like characters like Colt and Dynamite, I definitely recommend running the Archer Queen because she's going to pair very well with those ranged units. Now depending on your playstyle, the Archer Queen and the Barbarian King are actually interchangeable depending on which ones you should be getting out of the chest first. If you have a playstyle where you like using more of the ranged units, then I'd recommend going for the Archer Queen, but if you like going for more of the melee units instead of squad busters, then I'd recommend using the Barbarian King. It's as simple as that. Now that you know all of this information about the characters in Greenworld, I'd recommend checking out my other squad busters video right here.